Oscar Piastri was grinding his teeth, holding back tears, and claiming injustice after the 10-second time penalty in the Silverstone Grand Prix. The reality is he fucked up. He made the mistake that got him the penalty, a mistake that he didn't need to make. It was greedy and desperate. And in this video, we will compare this incident with what George Russell has did to confirm that Oscar Piastri is guilty of erratic driving behind the safety car, and then we will look at why he made that greedy decision and whether it was necessary at all. So first, we have the document from the British Grand Prix where it is explained clearly that he braked hard, applying a pressure of 59.2 psi, which reduced the speed of the car from 218 to 52 kph. That's massive. Now, if you look at what George Russell has done against Red Bull's Max Verstappen in Canada, he applied only a 30 psi of pressure, and the speed reduction that happened was significantly low. Let me move my face a little bit. Here, the pace only reduced from 143 kilometers an hour to 84 in 1.8 seconds. Now, compare that to what Piastri has done. It's 218 to 52, nearly double the brake pressure. And to make matters worse, Oscar Piastri radios in asking the team that, hey, if you guys feel that the penalty was harsh and unfair, then we should swap back and race. And this is a fucked up thing to do, man. And this hurts me to point out because I'm a Piastri fan and I want him to win the World Championship this year. But this doesn't look really good. Whatever happened on the track, you gotta let the race play out. Zach Brown also said the same thing. If you did something, whether or not the FIA stewards were kind to you or not, whether or not the venue was lucky for you or not, regardless of all those things, it was your action. You unlawfully, not unlawfully, I mean technically it's unlawful because he got a penalty, you unlawfully braked hard and you are guilty of this. And the only reason why Oscar Piastri was, grinding his teeth and was giving nonchalant, short answers to all of the questions of the media regarding the penalty is because he knew that this was an avoidable mistake. This was a desperate and greedy maneuver that he did not need to do. So I'm going to show you some proofs. First, on lap 8, Oscar Piastri passes Max Verstappen on track, who is running Monza spec in Silverstone. I will make another video about the Red Bull shenanigans and how they approach the development of their car when they lack performance in another video, so get subscribed for that. So on lap 8, Oscar Piastri, I have muted the video to avoid copyright strikes, he makes the pass on Max Verstappen on a straight, pure pace, on traction he makes the move. In the braking, obviously Max Verstappen lacks the downforce, Piastri passes through. You know that you don't need to play any kind of maneuvers or operate in the gray area in order to beat your rivals. You have the pace, you have the faster car. Max Verstappen has been struggling throughout the entire weekend. Yes, he put it on pole on Saturday, but in race pace, when you are running Monza spec, it's hard. And obviously there's also another proof, because when Lando Norris was fighting against Max Verstappen, Verstappen also ran wide, as you can see. This is Norris and this is Max Verstappen. Obviously at this point Verstappen's tire were a little bit chewed up, and the reason is because he's running Monza spec, which is chewing up his tire around the corners a little bit. He doesn't have enough downforce. Either way, you know that the McLarens are significantly faster in these dynamic conditions around Silverstone, so you need to chill the fuck out. You did not need, Oscar Piastri did not need to do this thing. And as you can see, Max Verstappen has to turn to the right in order to go ahead and take evasive action, and he momentarily goes ahead. And Lando Norris also closes in significantly. And you can see why that has happened, and the proof is in this FIA document because he reduced his speed significantly. So whatever the fuck this guy says while grinding his teeth and giving one-word answers, he was actually holding back tears. If you look at his interview just after the race, he was holding back tears. He was, touching his eyes maximum. And the reason is, deep down he knows he did a fucked up thing. He did an unnecessary thing over here that he did not need to do. And right after this moment, Max Verstappen spun out of contention, P12. And Norris and Piastri, they're in the same car. Norris was fast, But there is one thing of being fast in clean air, and there is another thing trying to overtake Oscar Piastri in dynamic conditions around Silverstone where there is only one thin racing line. It's gonna be very difficult. So if Piastri just trusted in his car, because there is proof, he passed Max Verstappen on merit on lap 8 over here. And when Max Verstappen was battling against Lando Norris, he himself ran wide, as you can see over here. So there is no point. And also, after making the pass, Oscar Piastri pulled out like more than a second in nearly half a lap. That's how quick the McLaren was around Silverstone compared to the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. So what he did here, bunching up behind the safety car and erratically braking, it was an unnecessary thing to do. And that's why he was grinding his teeth and he was pissed off at himself. And the deeper reason behind why he was inspired or motivated to do this type of situation is because he is feeling the pressure of the championship. Because in Austria, Lando Norris won, and right now in Silverstone also Lando Norris won, which is chewing into Oscar Piastri's championship lead. Right now he only leads the championship by 8 points. With 12 more races to go, you can't say shit about that. So at one point, Piastri had like a 22-point lead over Lando Norris, and now it's at only 8. So Lando has done a great job at closing the gap, especially after Canada. In Canada, Norris made a silly mistake, got himself out of the race. Oscar Piastri must be on cloud 9 after that. But credit to Lando, in Austria he returned, in Silverstone he returned. One other thing, since Austrian Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri has been feeling the heat a little bit. Because if you remember in Austria, before the final Q3 run, Oscar Piastri's final push lap was impeded by a spinning Pierre Gasly. So Pierre Gasly was on his push lap in Q3, last lap of Q3. He spun out in the last corner in Austria, which triggered yellow flags, which forced Oscar to slow down, and he couldn't even complete his push lap. And he didn't have time to go for another one. He probably also didn't have fuel in his car. And then he was pretty pissed off on the radio. During the race in Austria, he was also subjected to a few high-pressure moments, especially on lap 20, where he almost locked up and hit Lando Norris around turn 4. Then later in the race in Austria, there was a moment with the Alpine of Franco Colapinto, some fun radio messages from Oscar Piastri. Basically, the thing that I'm trying to say is Piastri right now is definitely feeling the pressure of the championship, especially in the last back-to-back races in which Lando had 2 wins. Lando never won 2 races back-to-back. And to win in Austria, a track that Lando loves, to win in Silverstone, his home Grand Prix, Lando is on a tear right now. Now the upcoming race is Spa, and last year in Spa, Oscar Piastri was fighting for the win. He crossed the checkered flag at P3, less than a second behind Lewis Hamilton in P2. George Russell won the race on track, and then he was disqualified, so giving Lewis Hamilton the win and Oscar Piastri P2. But he was closing in on the Mercedes in the final parts of the Belgian Grand Prix. So this is a track that he is good at, and it's critical. Right now there are a couple of weeks of break. He needs to go back, reassess, and look at his own strengths as a racing driver, because again, like I mentioned, like I'm saying it over and over again, this was a desperate move. You don't need to operate in the gray area because you have the fast car, and your racecraft is good, your qualifying is good. Max Verstappen was nowhere. Lando Norris is significantly behind Max Verstappen, and he will spend a little bit of extra time jumping Max Verstappen as well. So you have got this shit covered. So he will probably need to go and see that he doesn't need to take himself to the gray area and do this type of silly maneuvers, and come back strong in Spa. He needs to take pole in Spa because Norris is gonna be quick, and he needs to take pole position in Spa in order to keep building that gap to Lando Norris in the championship standings. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.